my YouTube channel. Welcome back if this is your first time. So today I'm going to talk about all the books that I read in January and giving you my thoughts and opinions on them and whether or not I'll be recommending them to you or not. So I'm going to be going in the order in which I read them. Yes. The first book I read in the month of January was Sisters of Sword and Song by Rebecca Ross. So Rebecca Ross is a pretty popular author. At least I seen her on Book Talk. I'm not really on BookTube, but Book Talk. I think Divine Rivals was super popular. Anyway, so I decided to pick a lesser known work of hers because I've seen too many opinions on Divine Rivals and even A River Enchanted. So I wanted to, see for myself if I would really like. So I picked an earlier work of hers, which is Sisters of Sword and Song. And so in this this is a standalone fantasy. We follow these two sisters, and then we follow the main sister Evadne. No, we follow both Evadne and Halcyon's perspectives. So Evadne is waiting for her sister to come home. Her sister has gone on to train in the army for a really long time, and she's expecting her to come back. Then her sister comes back, and something has gone wrong because Halcyon is charged with murder. And so we follow these two sisters. Well, Evadne obviously trying to clear her sister's name, and Halcyon. So basically, Eva volunteers to take part of Halcyon's centers and obviously also try to clear her name, and we follow them. This was my first book and definitely will be my last. She has writes in a very beautiful way, but it doesn't lean into purple prose. The writing was it was beautiful. I loved it so much. And this book is focused on a particular kingdom. So obviously, because it's standalone fantasy, don't expect like a huge epic scope. It's very much about the bond between these two sisters, which was so heartwarming. I love them so much. I don't know what this book made me tear up multiple times. I didn't go into it thinking. I just wanted a little fantasy romance, just some fantasy and some romance. I didn't expect the book to make me cry. I teared up like 3 times. I really like the focus on sisterhood and like the complex feelings that you can have, because Evadne obviously looks up to her sister. Her sister has gone to do this great thing, but at the same time she's also jealous of her sister because she also wants to be grand and to be great and to have this great destiny. I thought that was done so well. And also like finding the magic within yourself, just the family. Everything was so warm and cozy and heartfelt. The only thing that didn't actually work for me was the romance, and I just wish that we had spent a bit more time on the romance. I think developing more, especially because I think the main male character, I don't feel like we really get enough of him to really understand why they both fall in love. And so, but apart from that, like it's not too much of a gripe. It's just only something I noticed that took a bit away from my interest. But I would still highly recommend. Maybe it's just me, but I just feel like I didn't really buy into the romance. But apart from that, that's my only complaint. Everything else I really adored. It was so heartwarming, it just made me cry. It was just so much feels. I'll definitely be reading another Rebecca Ross book. So yeah, that's the first book I read. Then the next book I read is This Time It's Real by, at this point, she's on her way to becoming one of my favorite authors. This is Anne Liang. She just writes young adult romance perfectly. That's all I can say really. Anyway, so we follow this young girl, Eliza, who writes this essay about being in love and all that. But it's supposed to be a personal essay, but she basically makes it up and she writes about falling in love and this dreamy relationship, and then her essay goes viral. And now she has to, especially when this massive essay leads to a particular career opportunity. Yes, an internship in a magazine that she's always wanted. So now she's struggling under the weight of this life, as though that she reaches out to she makes a deal with an actor in her class to pretend to be her boyfriend, because he also has some trouble with the paparazzi, and he will basically clean up his image because he's this perfect dreamy boyfriend, and so it's a mutually beneficial alliance. Anyway, but as their relationship starts to develop, it's beginning to become a little real, and she has to figure out that, and will she follow her dreams, basically, even if it means breaking her heart. It was just, I didn't really know. All this summary is not important. All I need to do is to go and read it now. I literally, in my review, I said she has done it again. Constantly raising the bar for us all. I will read anything she writes. She has 2 books coming out this year. My anticipated reads. I am so excited. I loved Eliza so much. I loved her struggles, because Eliza is this person who has moved around a lot. She has this struggle, you know, not fitting in, but, you know, making connections, because she's just going to move again. So what's the point? Her fear of being fundamentally unlovable was just like, so heart-wrenching. Her struggle with her identity and always being left behind. I loved seeing her. We definitely see her grow, you know, to overcome that. I like the focus on friendship as well, because while this is a romance, it's a very heavy focus on the friendship, and I really like that. And, you know, how losing a friend can be so painful, but, you know, obviously in our day-to-day culture, it's not really as emphasized. We focus on like romantic relationships and romantic breakups, but friendship breakups can be just as bad, and I really like that there as well. I also liked the romance. I really understood why they fell in love with each other, and how them being together helped them be better people. And again, I also cried. But I also read, you should also read If You Could See the Sun by her. Anything she writes, I tell you, just read it. It's perfection. Anyway, it made me cry. As well as If You Could See the Sun also made me cry. This also made me cry. And I also love the main character Kaz as well, and his need to be seen as perfect, you know, being stripped back, and they were just so real to me, and I just wanted them to be happy, and that's all I can tell you. This time it's written by Anne Young. Anything she writes, I will be reading it. Thank you. Then the next book I read is Forest of a Thousand Lanterns, and so we follow this young woman, Ji Feng. I should have checked how to pronounce this. My bad. I think it's Ji Feng. Anyway, you know, she's beautiful. Everybody's looking at her and all that, and the star said that she's basically, her aunt tells her that she's destined for greatness. Her aunt reads cards, and she says that she's destined for greatness and that she'll be the empress. But this comes at a cost if she only embraced the darkness within her, and she longs to, you know, grow into this destiny that her aunt has told her. But in order to achieve greatness, she has to, you know, discard the young man who loves her, as well as exploit the magic that runs through her veins. And we see, you know, this is basically a villain origin story. This is actually a retelling. I should have started with this, to be honest. Instead of this summary I'm trying to do, is kind of a retelling of the evil queen. I don't know why I thought it was Cinderella at first, but the more I read, I was like, oh no, this is the evil queen from Snow White. And so we kind of follow her villain origin story. This is kind of a evil queen type character, and it's actually funny because I'm going to talk about it later in this review, but I read the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I think honestly villain origin stories work better if we're following a character that was not necessarily like written to be a human being, in the sense, like, for example, the evil queen, she's not a character. We don't know, you know, we know about her that she wants to be beautiful, and that's it. And I think you can take that character, that evil character, and really like humanize her, but also humanize that character and really see what could lead to that. Whereas with a character that we already know that is evil, if you don't write a villain origin story, especially if we already know how they end up, I think it takes a lot of tension as well. I think it doesn't just work as well, in my opinion. But anyway, yes, so this I really liked this story. Again, I think I like villain origin stories, but only for like mythological characters or fairy tale characters. I think it works better. Anyway, I knew that I liked Ji Feng as a character because it was we saw her potential for good, but we know in the end what's going to happen, but still you see her potential for good. And then when she, you know, eventually goes wrong, it's like, oh, it's heartbreaking, because you're like, you could choose this other way. And we see how, you know, how she chooses ambition and power over love. And, you know, I liked her, especially I also liked the complexity of the relationship with her aunt, because her aunt is this, you know, horrible person who has like abused her and, you know, been very cruel to her, but see how we see how she still seeks approval from her aunt, because she seeks love and approval from her aunt, because her aunt is the only guardian that she has known. And I think it just shows how difficult it can be to live like a difficult situation like that, like constantly chasing the time that they will be good to you. I thought that was done so well. I really felt for her. And, you know, because Ji Feng grows up believing that her being beautiful is all that matters, and we see it become the lens through which she views the world. So she's always constantly noting how things are beautiful, or if someone is beautiful or not, or if somebody is ugly. Like, she definitely, and we see, because beauty has been, you know, ingrained into her as this most important thing that she has, and it becomes, you know, the way she sees the world. And I thought that was so, like, well character, like that's such good characterization, because obviously a character who is thinks herself as beauty and sees beauty as important would see the world that way, and I thought it was done so well. I also liked how she would use her so-called destiny that Anne told her to justify her actions. And I think that she was like an unreliable character now, because she's like, well, yeah, I just, it's fine, because I have this destiny, I have to do it. And I thought I really liked this villain origin story. See, it just worked so much better for me. And even the side characters as well, it was a really intriguing villain. If you like a villain origin story, I think this is a very good one. And it deals with a lot of complex matters and complex things. I think so. So yeah, this is I just realized after I read it, I realized that there was a sequel. I don't think I'm interested in the sequel. I think this story did enough for me. This is what I wanted, to see the rise of the villain, and I don't think I'll continue the sequel. I'm sure the sequel is good, but I kind of came to it as a standalone. And honestly, when you have your expectations that a book is a standalone, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm just like, I don't want to continue. I don't want to know. You told me a standalone, I'm here for a standalone. But anyway, yeah, so that's the first of 1,000 Lanterns. And the next book I read is Song of Blood and Stone. And in this book, we're following two kingdoms who have been at war for a very long time, and they're separated by a magical veil called the Mantle. And then we find out that, when we start the story, the Mantle is breaking, and then there's this evil tyrant on one of the countries wants to break through the veil and basically enslave the other country. And so we follow this young woman who has just lives a quiet life on her farm, and because of the color of her skin, she's branded an outcast in this town. So she just wants to keep her head down and everything. But she basically comes upon a group of soldiers wandering into her valley, and she basically is thrown into this kind of conspiracy because she goes into a spy. So she's from La Grimari, but she lives in Elsira, and so obviously she has different skin color, and so she's an outcast. And she sees a bunch of soldiers, and then she basically falls into with this spy, and there's a greater conspiracy at large, and they have to unravel the secrets, basically. Yes. So this book was compulsive. When I say like compulsively readable, like I was thinking of it, I had to pick it up. And I needed to know what was happening. At the end of each chapter, I was like, what is happening next? So I feel like that sounds like very good pacing, because you constantly want to know what is happening. I really like Jack and Jasminda. I like their relationship and how it developed. Even though the beginning interactions were a bit almost insta-lobby, but very, sometimes they'll be having thoughts about each other. I'm like, at a time like this, I don't think this is what we should be focusing on. But anyway, they grew on me. I liked Jasminda's internal conflict of not belonging anywhere because she's mixed, basically. So she feels like she doesn't belong. I like the commentary on racism because she's basically black, and so she lives in this white country. But there's this war, and so people, obviously people in the town, and she also has powers. I forgot to mention that part. She's an earth singer, and so people also call her like a witch and all that, and she's struggling with that internal conflict of not feeling like she belongs anywhere. Yeah, and just you even see like how beginning of like anti-refugee sentiment also coming as well, and I just think the political part was interesting. Yes, the politics were interesting. The world building was a bit confusing for me because we kind of have, it seems like a traditional fantasy world, but we also have like some technology, so it kind of threw me off, but not enough to be confused. And I will say the story does have some cliches, there's some things where I was like, okay, but it was still very enjoyable, very compulsively readable, and I really liked the romance. So apart from my few nitpicks, yeah, it was a good story, and I recommend if you want like something with fantasy and romance and a heavy like emphasis on the romance, I think you would like this. Yes. Then the next book I read is The Stolen Heir. This is the sequel series to the Folk of the Air trilogy by Holly Black. I love the Folk of the Air trilogy. I love Jude, I love Cardan, I love Baddock, I love I don't like Taryn, not Taryn, but I like all the other characters. And so I really just wanted to be back in Elfhame. I've been pushing it for a while because I wanted to read it knowing that the sequel would be coming soon, and the sequel is coming I think in March. So anyway, now in the Stolen Heir duology, we're following Ren, and 8 years have passed since the events of the first trilogy. Yes, and So Suren, basically, who has, how do I start explaining the, is the sequel to the, I don't know how to explain, I don't want to mention anything from the previous trilogy. I shut up on the previous trilogy, but we follow Ren and Oak from the previous trilogy, and they basically go on a quest in order to overthrow her mother, who has basically started gathering an army. And yeah, that's all I will tell you. That's all you need to know. Again, like I said, I really liked our elf him. I like to be back. I think a lot of people probably went to do this expecting like the sort of dynamics between Jude and Cardan. If you go into that thinking that you're going to be disappointed, and I think it really holds up without them. I really liked Ren a lot. I liked her inner struggles. I liked her coping with basically being a changeling, because she's in the human world at first and then taken back to the Fae world, and you know how she misses her human family and grappling with the way that her Fae family actually mistreated her. And I also liked, Ren and Oak's dynamic and how they struggle to trust each other. And also, I think another thing that could put people off is if you don't like quests, because this is a quest. But I don't know how people found this boring. I really, I read some of the reviews and they were so harsh. I was just like, oh, I like Ren and Oak. And I like Ren, she's not a, I don't say, like, she's, she has sharp teeth. Like, I just like the way she writes this character. She's not like, oh, sweet or kind or anything. She's like, she's kind, but she's scary. Yeah, and she's also, especially the ending, I think the ending, I was just like, girl, like, how are we going to move on from here? And I feel even though Ren and Oak's dynamic is quite different, I still feel like there were like callbacks to Jude and Cardan. Like, they would do something, it's like, oh, this reminds me of Jude and Cardan. Anyway, yeah. I will say also did have a slow start though. I didn't mind the quest, but maybe if you don't like a quest as much, and don't go into this expecting Jude and Cardan is completely different. So yeah, that's the story. Basically, I really liked it and I'm excited for the book in June. I literally read she put up English is failing, oh my god, she put up like a preview of the first 3 chapters and I read to read them immediately. I need to know what's going to happen anyway. Yes, and in the second book, Jude and Cardan are coming back, so I'm excited. Anyway, then the next topic we'll talk about, I think I've been rambling for a while, is An Unkindness of Magicians. So we follow, in this world there's magic, but it's kind of hidden from the real world. This is an urban fantasy, so we still have the normal world, and then but the magicians live in the unseen world, and so there's a veil separating them. Anyway, the power of magic is fading, and then we follow this main character who wants to destroy this system that's keeping the magic in place. And yeah, so we just follow Sydney on her revenge quest. So a couple of caveats. I also really enjoyed this book, but I can see why this book will not work for so many people, because there's so many perspectives. It's a short book, it's a relatively short book. However, we get so many perspectives. We get like up to 7 or some at one point I counted. So that could be, annoying for some people, I can imagine. But so we follow this character Sydney, who's kind of the main character, and we follow her try to destroy this system, because this system basically harvests magic from other magicians who have been sacrificed, and she was one of the magicians that was sacrificed. Yes, okay, it's in the synopsis, so I didn't spoil anything. I just wanted to make sure. She was taking down the system. I really like this book. It packed like such a punch for being so short. I like the themes of breaking tradition and how power, the abuse of power, how power can be abused. I like the world, and it had in this world, every 2 to 3 generations, the time is up, but almost every 20 years or something like that, there's this competition, and whoever wins the competition, I'm doing such a horrible job of explaining, becomes the head of the unseen world, the magic world, and they control all the rules and something. And so Sydney enters this competition and she wants to take the system down. Yes. Anyway, I liked how dark and grim this world is. And the reviews, I like the descriptions of magic, how magic works. It's a very soft magic system, because to be honest, I didn't fully understand how the magic works, but not in a way that took away from the story. I think it just made it more atmospheric and intriguing, because the magic system is a bit confusing, I'm not going to lie, and it just have like I still overall enjoyed it, but I can't say it did have a lot of point of view. So I was just like, oh, okay, we're following this person now, we're following this person. But all in all, I really like the themes, and I think I've seen this described as the adult Harry Potter. I'm not sure if that would, I haven't read Harry Potter, so I wouldn't know. But if you're looking for a short standalone fantasy, you know, that has dark themes and, you know, has a competition, I think you might really like this. I know it has a sequel. Again, this is another one where I thought it was a standalone, so I'm just like, I think I'm fine with where it ended. I will say the ending, I guess it was kind of rushed. Kind of. Yeah, I didn't mind it, but it's because for the way the world is so grim, it kind of tied up a little too neatly. But you know, apart from that, no, I really liked it. That's all you need to do. Then this month I decided to binge read the Hunger Games trilogy, because with the new movie coming out last year, I just you know, found myself obsessed, and it was on my For You page, and I was like, you know what, fine, I'm going to read the Hunger Games trilogy. All I can say is that they hold up, I think, so well, because I'd only watched the movies, I hadn't read the books. Also, again, not to be that person, the books are better, but I really liked having Katniss in a narration. I think that really does a lot. I liked just the especially like the critique of the capital as well, and you know, the consumerism, the chasing of trends, and how, you know, we can dehumanize, how the capital dehumanizes the people from the districts in order to, you know, turn them into these games and turn them into a spectacle. They don't treat them as human beings, and even the reasons for everything, like, it was just so like there were so many details, and I loved how intentional it was. Like, all in all, to say, I really enjoyed it, and I thought that because I had read the books before, I would not enjoy the books as much. Not true. I found them so fast-paced, so engaging, so much to think about. Even in Mockingjay, which I know a lot of people don't like, but you know, the bleakness of war and how it changes people, especially Katniss, she goes through so much trauma, and you see her struggling to cope and struggling to survive. And you know, whether else you like the ending, but at least you see that it really, really holds up. It's so bleak, and just like the abuse of the districts and the capital, and how the, you know, because all I'll say is that I really, really enjoyed the Hunger Games. I loved reading it so much. However, it's ended, but I'm not talking. I'm going to I have more thoughts, by the way. I can go into so much detail, but I actually did a reading vlog for the Hunger Games, so I will just say this now, and then hopefully you see the vlog very soon, even though it take like hours to edit, and then you see my full in-depth thoughts, because I update you as I read. Then I read the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Did I finish it in February? In January? No. But by the time this video is going up, but I've finished it as at the time of this recording. And so I'm going to cheat and put it here, because I don't want to talk about it. I did not like this book. I don't fully understand why it was written. I don't think it really, like, following Snow, honestly, reading the book, he's just a horrible character from start to finish. There wasn't really like any, like, no growth, but any doubts where there was any point where I was like, oh, you know, maybe he won't end up the way he does. And also, I think, again, because it's a prequel, that also takes out a lot of tension, because I know how it's going to end anyway. But even then, I didn't really see any, you know, like, oh, maybe if he had done this, like, I wasn't like, oh, this is so sad or anything. Like, from start to finish, it's horrible, and at the end, it's horrible. So why did I need to read all these pages for what? I mean, I guess the book was trying to, you know, examine, you know, if human beings are inherently evil or not, and there was some discussions around that. But honestly, I guess so, but it's still, it was too long. It was too, also, this book was really long. I was bored at multiple times at it. I was struggling to pick it up. It took me a whole week to finish it. It didn't intrigue me to pick it up. I was bored at several places, and like, I just wanted it to be over. And yeah, so those are all the books that I read in January. Let me know if you read any of them. Let me know your thoughts, you know, discuss in the comments. Or if you plan to read any of these planning to read any of these at any point, let me know. Please like, subscribe if you'd like, or check out any video up here. And okay, I'll see you next time. Hope you have a great reading week as well. Okay, bye.